Howdy, y'all. Today we're talking about the Celestial Stampede. This is a new battalion that's in the Broken Realms Be'lakor book. I haven't read it yet, but from the summaries that I've seen, it looks like it's a pretty cool narrative book. If you're into that, if you like the lore, apparently there's something about an army of Bastiladons all focusing their fire on one defensive formation, which sounds awesome. Kroak is in there as we are getting excited for Kroak's new model update. I'm sure that's going to come in a later book or just at a later time. Kroak's not here yet. But what we do have is Celestial Stampede, a new battalion that has all my favorite models in it. Stegaddons and Bastiladons. So we're going to look at that, review that, and how can we build some lists focused around that battalion. So, Celestial Stampede, it is a battalion. It costs 140 points, which is, that's actually a little bit cheaper than some of our other battalions, but a pretty fair price. It requires a Stegaddon with Skink Chief, who becomes a unique character. He becomes the Star Warden and has some unique stuff that we'll be talking about here in a second. It also can either have an Engine of the Gods or a Stegaddon in its second slot, and then one Bastiladon. The Stegageddon Chief is a unique character, and all units in this battalion must have the Thunder Lizard keyword. And so we are going to see this one in the Thunder Lizard subfaction, which is great. That's where you want to use these guys. That's where the Stegaddon and the Bastiladon really shine. So I'm happy to see Thunder Lizard pop up on this battalion in this units. So minimum cost is $850. Maximum cost is $870. So there's really not a whole lot of play here. Your one choice in this battalion is to bring an Engine of the Gods or a Stegaddon. That's pretty much your only choice you're going to have here, and so your point values aren't going to differ very often. But the good thing is these are all units that really you're going to be looking to take in a Thunder Lizard list anyway. So pretty good on what's required. 3 pretty common units. The Steg Chief does become a unique character. Now, that is interesting because we'll look at one of the abilities in a second, but that means that you can't take more than one of this battalion. I was kind of hoping we could double up on this battalion to lower our drops, but because it creates a unique character, you can only take one unique character, named character, in a list of that same name, and so you can't have 2 Star Wardens. So you'll only be taking one of these battalions, and his unique character will come into play here in a minute. The first ability on this War Scroll, on the battalion, is the Ancient, and I don't even know how to pronounce that name, but it's an Ancient Stegaddon. The Stegaddon that is on this hero is so old, he actually is a little belligerent, is what the War Scroll says. And he gets Prime War Beast, even if he's not the general. And so this is kind of nice. We do get a command trait, which is Prime War Beast, that adds 1 to the attacks of the mount, all the mount attacks for the Stegaddon, which is an awesome command trait. It's also the one that's included in Thunder Lizards. So since he's not your general, that won't count against that. You can basically double up on Prime War Beast. And I think that's where the lists that use the battalion are really going to focus on is I'm doubling up on that Prime War Beast ability, and I'm going to stack it onto something else, onto another monster. We're going to have it on this unique Stegaddon in this battalion. And I want to see it on another beast so we can get all those extra attacks coming in. The other ability is your Lance of Cosmic Power. Now, I had to create its own slide because this thing has some stuff you're going to have to read through. So, Lance of Cosmic Power. It's a once per battle ability. At the start of your shooting phase, you cannot use the Cosmic Engine on the Engine of the Gods if you use this. You cannot use Trove of the Old One technology in this phase if you use this ability. Now, Trove of Old One, that is the command ability that allows you to double tap the Engine of the Gods or the Bastiladon. So both those units that you're going to have in this battalion, you're not going to be able to use this ability. So this better be a good one. Pick one enemy within 24 inches of a Star Warden. So your hero, Stegaddon, pick one enemy within 24 inches of him. If he's dead, you don't get to use this ability. Just remember that. You're going to roll 1 dice for each Engine of the Gods, which only 1 in this battalion. If it's within 24 inches of the enemy unit, you're going to roll 2 dice for the Bastiladon if it's within 24 inches of the unit. And on a 2-up roll, you're going to do D3 mortals for each of those dice roll. So you're going to do a max of 3 D3 mortal wounds to something that's within 24 inches of all 3 of these models. It's an interesting ability. I mean, never shy away from doing D3 mortals. It's always good to do because there's things that you need to be able to take off the board, and sometimes mortals are the only way to do it. But you're giving up a lot here. It's only once per battle. You have to give up double firing your Engine of the Gods, using your Engine of the Gods at all, and then you're giving up your Trove of the Old Ones. So when you're thinking about this, the Engine of the Gods is most likely to do D3 mortals at 24 inches. You're going to fire it twice, and then your Bastiladon gets to fire twice. So you're going to lose those 3 places of output just to do 3 D3 mortals if you set it up right. So it's nice, but only being once per battle, I would have liked to have just removed those 2 restrictions that say you can't use all the other things and still use this, because you're going to have to set this thing up perfectly. And you have to be willing to give up all that extra output you're going to get from your Engine of the Gods and the Bastiladon to fire this off. But it's not useless. I mean, it does have some good things to it. Let's look at the good and the bad. The good is, in this battalion, it's units that you're probably already taking. So that's always nice. And Thunder Lizards, sometimes your drops can get pretty high. And for 140 points, you can lower your drops. You can get an extra command point. You can get an extra artifact. And so it does have a benefit there. You know, these battalions aren't always just about what the ability gives you. You also get these secondary things like extra artifacts and command points. It does allow you to double up on Prime War Beast. And I think that is probably the most interesting thing here are these auxiliary things. That ability, when we're looking back at the Lance of Cosmic Power, really isn't the most interesting thing from this battalion. The most interesting thing to me is that you can double up on Prime War Beast. I've now got 2 big Stegageddon heroes that are going to have Prime War Beast on them. You can put it on the engine. You can make your Engine of the Gods the general, give him Prime War Beast, and give him Cloak of Feathers, because you're going to have an extra artifact here. Put Fusel of Conflagration on something else. You're not going to be able to put him on the hero Stegageddon in this one, but you can put it on the Engine of the Gods. And so you're going to have some tough units. A lot of my lists, I'm always looking for ways to get that extra artifact so I can get Cloak of Feathers, because it's that good. It's -1 to hit. You get to fly. You're +4 to your movement. It is that good of an artifact that you want to find a way to get it. And this gives us an ability to add in there. It's not nearly as good of a battalion as Thunderquake, but it costs less, and it doesn't have the tax of taking Salamanders or Kroxigor or Razordons. But it does give you a little bit cheaper access to that. The bad of Celestial Stampede, a unique named hero. That is one downside to this, because there's really no benefit into the game of a unique hero unless they have a cool war scroll, which most unique heroes have a cool war scroll. This one doesn't. The only cool thing about this unique hero is that he gets Prime War Beast for free. So there are going to be some restrictions. You can't give this guy an artifact. So that is one bad thing out of this. You can't take 2 battalions. Because of that unique hero, you can't take 2 of these battalions. The damage from the special ability is generally less than what you get from an Engine of the Gods and Bastiladon. Now, this is if I'm getting to fire my Bastiladon a second time with bound head near it, I'm going to be doing more damage than just I would do on 2d3 mortals. Now, it depends on the save of whatever you're shooting. So do this. You got to be smart about this. What am I hitting onto? And is it something that the Bastiladon would do more damage to at -1 rend? Or is it something I just need a few mortals through with this ability? Engine of the Gods, though, has the ability to output 2 D3 mortals every turn. And I find that it generally does that if you're double firing it. So I'm getting pretty much that same ability from an Engine of Gods, which are being taken away for the battalion. One bad part is, kind of thematically, narratively here, it really has nothing to do with the Stampede. It's called Celestial Stampede. I would have expected extra impact charges or make them faster or hit harder melee, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the Celestial Stampede. So kind of interesting. Somebody, whoever wrote the battalion, probably didn't name it. Maybe that was it. Um, so my conclusion is it's good, but not great. I would say Thunder Lizard probably already has the best battalion in our book in Thunderquake. And we're getting another good one. I think this isn't a great one, but it is good. It does have its use. I'm probably going to put it on the table, see how it does. It is an easy way to get your drops down. So include it if you want to get your drop downs and to get that extra Prime War Beast. Build your lists around being able to double up on Prime War Beast. So you definitely want to take another monster that's going to take advantage of that. Only use the special ability if you have a target of opportunity or a lack of command points. And so I can see myself saving this for late in the game when you're kind of out of command points. I see myself a lot in the early rounds using every single command point I have on my Stegageddon who's running and charging into their lines, but then also my engine, the guy that's double firing, my Battalion or two that are double firing. So I'm using a lot of command points. So maybe in a turn where you don't get the rolls from Kroak or the Slann, you don't have those extra command points available, you can use this ability at that point to still be able to output and not have to worry about double firing the other stuff that you wouldn't have gotten to do this turn anyway since you didn't have the command points. Another strategy, you can use it turn one against a snipeable hero. So if they've lined up a hero where you can get all three of these monsters within 24 inches, it might be a good chance to take that hero out with this, especially if it's something like a smaller foot hero that has -1 to hit from Lookout Sir, maybe +1 to their save because they're in cover, or another -1 to hit from an artifact, so they're like really hard to shoot at in the game. Then this would be a good time to use this ability because it's going to bypass all those debuffs and just go straight to the mortal wounds. And generally, you can take down a hero, a small foot hero, if you've kind of already peppered them with some mortals from your spells, and then you're going to pile on 3 D3 mortals. Now, you always have a chance of like rolling a 1 in there, so it only goes to 2 D3 mortals, and then rolling 1s for those mortals. So you can't bank on it, but it'll get you pretty far, I think. So, so not bad. I don't think anybody is going to have their socks blown off by this battalion, but I think you might see it in some lists where you're trying to just squeeze those points out. You want to get your drops down and include this battalion. So I wrote up 3 lists using this, and we'll kind of take a look at those and see what stands out to us. I'll include them down below in the comments. So give a thumbs up to whichever list you like the best, or let me know what your list you're thinking about taking with Celestial Stampede. So the first one is my Stampede with Kroak. Now, this is subject to change on when Kroak comes out, so we have no idea what Kroak is going to look like at that point. But I'm taking kind of what I like to take in a competitive setting, which is the Kroak Power Tower of Kroak, Ashloth Bear, Balewind, which will probably change in the future sometime, so don't write this in a stone. And then a bunch of Stegaddons. So it is 6 drops, this list. We're taking it, obviously, in Thunder Lizard. We've got our Stegageddon with Skink Chief, and I'm going to make him my general. This is not the one that's in the battalion, so this is a separate one I'm taking because I'm making him my general. I'm giving him the normal Prime War Beast, the artifact Cloak of Feathers, and, of course, he's taking the Skystreak Bow. The unique Stegageddon, Skywarden, he has Prime War Beast, so he's another hero. He's my unique hero. He's gonna have Prime War Beast. So you see, I've got 2 Prime War Beasts on these Stegageddons. They're going to pump up and get extra attacks here. You can give them an extra attack from their own command ability, so that's kind of nice. These guys can really hit pretty hard. Then, of course, we've got our Kroak with Stellar Tempest. That's always my default spell to take. I think that's one of our best spells we've got. And I'm throwing the artifact, the Fusel Conflagration, on my Ashloth Bear. Of course, taking some guard to protect Kroak. And then I've got my 2 Stegaddons and a Battalion. One of those Battalions and the Battalion and the Stegageddon are in the battalion. And so they'll be part of that Lance ability if you end up using that. So we do have Celestial Stampede, a Balewind Vortex, and I had 60 extra points to put onto an endless spell of your choice, or you could buy an extra command point if you wanted to. It's only 73 wounds. As you know, most Thunder Lizard lists get a little light on wounds. Hopefully you can summon some in from the Engine of the Gods. But it comes out to a clean 2,000. I like that one. Kroak is never a bad idea. This one is the one that's the most likely to change in the future as we see Kroak get updated. List number 2. I'm going with a Stampede and Sunclaw. So I wanted to try to find some battalions I could take that would lower my drops in a Thunder Lizard to get them really low. So in this list here, we're down to 2 drops. Now, I like that. 2 drops, you're going to beat just about everybody on the table. There's not a whole lot of 1-drop armies anymore. There's a couple that are 2-drop, but there's not a whole lot of 1-drop armies. And so this will mean you generally get to pick who goes first in turn 1. So I like this list I've got here. And I'm going to want to try it out here in the future. So we have our Stegageddon with Skink Chief. He is our unique Star Warden here. And we've got a command trait, Prime Warbeast, which is the free one. And we're taking another Engine of the Gods and a Battalion, or an Engine of the Gods and a Battalion. We are going to give the Cloak of Feathers to the Engine of the Gods, but we're not going to give him Prime Warbeast. We're going to put that on something else here in a second. This is all part of that Celestial Stampede. So that's our first drop is this battalion. So we're taking the Stegageddon, Engine, and Battalion. Our second drop is going to be the Sunclaw Temple Host. And we're taking the Old Blood on Carnosaur, and we're taking 90 Saurus Warriors. It's pretty fun to take this many, and they all fit into this Sunclaw Temple Host battalion. That battalion gives them an extra rend, or gives them 1 rend on their jaws, but that means your Carnosaur now has 2 rend on his jaws, and I'm going to give him the Prime Warbeast command trait because he is my general, and so now he's got an extra jaw attack from this, an extra jaw attack from Coalesced, and he's got -2 rend on those jaws. Now all of a sudden this Carnosaur is scary. You know, those jaw attacks are doing 5 damage each, and when you can pump them up this much, it gets real nice. I like this. I like the Old Blood on Carnosaur in other lizards other than just Kotal's Claw. Obviously there he's amazing, but his +1 to hit command trait really works well in other battalion or other subfactions where you normally get that in Kotal's Claw for free. So he's able to provide that, which you really need to make these guys hit well. And so we've got a lot of bodies on this list. We're coming up to 134 wounds, which is pretty respectable for a full army here. And remember, all of this is -1 to damage because it's in Coalesced. You still got 30 points to play around with there. You could very easily reduce one of these units of warriors if you wanted to fit something else in. But I was really looking to get down to 2 drops in this list and include a bunch of bodies. So we got 2 drops, a bunch of bodies. We've got 4 monsters in this list. We've got a couple things with Prime Warbeast. We got Cloak of Feathers on a Stegageddon. Just everything I like. I like that list a lot. List number 2, our Stampede with Sunclaw. List number 3, I'm going with a Stegageddon Stampede. So, you know, if you've watched my channel for very long, you know I like the Stegageddon. I'm not having to buy one of these boxes of the Celestial Stampede actual models because I've got 7 Stegageddons already. So I'm set on the Stegageddons. So this list, we've got Thunder Lizard. It is going to be 5 drops on this list. And we're taking our Stegageddons with Skink Chief. And he is going to be our general, kind of the same loadout you've seen us before. Prime Warbeast, Cloak of Feathers, Skystreak Bow. Then our unique Sky Warden, who gets Prime Warbeast for free. And Engine of the Gods, we're going to have to throw Fusel of Conflagration on. That's our leftover artifact. Well, the one we have to take for Thunder Lizard. Wish I could get out of that one. But, you know, it's not bad. It does mortals. It can do D6 mortals. So it's not bad in conjunction with some of this other stuff. And it gives you some mortal wound output. I'm also going to take a Slann Starmaster and 5 guard. He's there for, you know, magic, command point generation. I still like the normal Slann. He's great for keeping people from getting spells off. He can still do his comets, and he can generate command points. So, which you obviously need in Thunder Lizard. Then we've got 2 Stegageddons and a Battalion in the Celestial Stampede. Only the Battalion from this group is in that one. And the Burning Head, which I love to stick around. Some Stegageddons, so they're hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. And that's 5 drops, comes in at 79 wounds. Got an extra command point. And that's my Stegageddon Stampede. I think what you'll see on a lot of these lists, that as you're building them, if you're including more than one battalion, like this one here, I had an extra battalion in this one. So I had 2 battalions, which means you get 3 artifacts. But with that unique character, I keep finding myself as I'm building these lists, I don't have another character to put an artifact on because he can't take an artifact. The Star Warden can't take an artifact, and so you have to have him plus 4 or 3 other heroes to take those artifacts. So you're needing 4 heroes, and that sounds crazy to say that you have to take 4 heroes, but a lot of times in these lists you don't have that many points. And so in this Stampede Sunclaw list that I had made, I'm actually giving up an artifact, which I don't like to do, but we just don't have anybody to put it on. You could drop some warriors and then maybe put in a foot source and give him an artifact. That could help. The source artifacts aren't really all that good, but you could put one onto him. Maybe if you could squeeze in a Star Priest into this list, then you could add one onto him. But I keep running into that problem with because of that unique hero. It's hard to find all the things that you want to put artifacts on. All right, so that's my list. We'll go back up to conclusion here. Celestial Stampede, a good but not great battalion, and I think it will see some play. I think I'm going to put it on the table a couple times so I can lower my drops, get me an artifact, and the ability can be useful at the right time. So look for those opportunities to put D3 mortals onto something that you really want to work down. All right, guys, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on Celestial Stampede, and I'll see y'all next time.